this is the morning of the 5th of November. A clip put up by C! Scoop. Title, Candace Owens and Usha Vance leak hidden messages. Exposed between Erika Kirk and J.D. Vance. This is bad. Well, let's listen to it. Plays for, 14 minutes.
I am tremendously blessed and honored tonight to be able to introduce to you a very, very dear friend.
What sort of widow wouldn't want people to investigate the assassination of their husband?
It started with a ping, a single notification that set Washington ablaze. Candace Owens had just dropped what she called the evidence no one wanted to see, and within minutes, the conservative internet went up in flames. Private messages, late-night calls, deleted photos, and at the center of it all, two names that once stood for faith and loyalty: Erika Kirk and Vice President J.D. Vance.
To say any woman that can get on stage and meaningfully say that they forgive the person who their husband that quickly, you are truly a better person than me, because I've just been so angry.
For months, whispers circled their closeness, brushed off as harmless friendship. But what Candace revealed didn't look harmless at all. Screenshots showing heart emojis, timestamps past midnight, and phrases that felt a little too intimate for a man with a wife at home. Then came the twist. Because behind the scenes, it wasn't just Candace who knew. Sources say JD's own wife, Usha Vance, had quietly gathered proof long before the world saw a single screenshot. And when the truth hit the internet, she didn't deny it. She fueled it. This wasn't a rumor anymore. It was a digital confession, a trail of messages that exposed what the cameras could never show, the emotional affair that could bring down one of America's most polished political families. Just weeks earlier, everything looked picture perfect. J.D. Vance, America's rising conservative star, stood beside his wife and children, preaching faith, family, and discipline. Erika Kirk, still grieving the loss of her husband, Charlie Kirk, was the symbol of resilience, the woman who turned tragedy into testimony. Their paths kept crossing at charity events, prayer breakfasts, and Turning Point USA galas. Cameras always caught them smiling, side by side, hands lightly touching during group prayers. Nothing scandalous, nothing out of line, just warmth between two public figures bonded by faith. But insiders now say those early moments were the spark. One former staffer recalled how Erika would text JD after events to thank him for his kindness. At first, it was spiritual encouragement. Then the tone shifted. Little hearts, late-night can't-sleep messages, and emotional confessions wrapped in Bible verses, Usha Vance noticed. Friends later revealed she'd grown quiet at home, retreating from campaign appearances and social dinners. She wasn't the jealous type, she was analytical. She took screenshots, she watched, and she waited. Because something in her gut told her the friendship her husband defended so strongly wasn't just friendship anymore. But even she didn't expect who would end up bringing it all to light. Not a journalist, not a political rival, but Candace Owens herself. When Candace goes public, it's never subtle. She opened her live stream with that trademark calm fire, saying, "There are things I've seen that break my heart, and they're about to break yours too." Within seconds, screenshots began flashing on screen. Messages allegedly between J.D. Vance and Erika Kirk, time-stamped, affectionate, unmistakably personal. "You remind me that God still writes stories of redemption. You make me feel seen again." Heart emojis, late-night replies, then silence. The kind of silence that meant someone was deleting history. The internet went nuclear. Twitter threads dissected every word. TikTok edits turned the messages into tragic romance montages. Hashtags like hashtag JD and Erika trended worldwide. Some conservatives screamed fake news, while others whispered that Candace never speaks without receipts. Behind the scenes, panic hit Washington. JD's aides scrambled to trace the leaks, while Turning Point USA issued a vague statement about malicious fabrications. But the damage was already done. Candace didn't need the full transcript, just enough to prove a point. And she made it crystal clear. This isn't gossip. This is betrayal hiding behind Bible verses. Even more shocking, Candace hinted that Usha Vance herself had helped her confirm the messages. For days after the live stream, Usha said nothing. Reporters stalked her home, tabloids begged for a quote, but she remained invisible until a quiet Sunday morning. On her private Instagram, she posted a single story, a Bible verse from Psalms 55, It was not an enemy that betrayed me, but you, my companion, my close friend. That verse hit harder than any headline. It wasn't a denial, it was confirmation. A quiet, elegant declaration that she knew everything, and she wasn't going to protect anyone's image anymore. By nightfall, that story had been screenshot thousands of times and shared across Patricia.
Ad just popped up. I'll get rid of it.
Every conservative forum. The First Lady of Faith had spoken without words, and everyone knew who she meant. Sympathy poured in. Commenters called her the picture of grace. Others begged her to divorce him. And while JD remained silent, his silence sounded like guilt. Then came the whispers that Usha had been the one who gave Candace the proof. Anonymous sources claimed she'd had the screenshots for months, debating whether to go public. When Candace reached out to discuss women's integrity in politics, Usha allegedly saw her chance. It wasn't revenge, it was exposure. Quiet, calculated, and devastatingly effective. And just like that, the picture-perfect conservative marriage that symbolized virtue turned into a lesson in betrayal, leaving Washington stunned and faith leaders scrambling for explanations. The moment Usha's verse went public, the spotlight swung straight toward Erika Kirk. What began as sympathy for a grieving widow turned into suspicion. Every smile, every God bless you post now looked different, like coded messages hiding in plain sight. Within hours, conservative commentators began dissecting her old interviews. "He's been such a light in this season," she once said of J.D. Vance during a podcast about faith and loss. At the time, it sounded wholesome. Now, it sounded incriminating. Screenshots leaked from Turning Point insiders allegedly showed Erika referring to JD as the only one who truly understands my spirit. The phrase caught fire. Even neutral reporters admitted, that doesn't sound like politics anymore. Erika tried to control the storm. She posted a soft focus video, tearful and trembling, insisting she'd been misunderstood. But the comments told another story. "You played the widow and the temptress," one user wrote. "You knew exactly what you were doing." Even her allies began stepping back. Sponsorships paused, invitations disappeared, and Turning Point USA quietly scrubbed her name from upcoming events. Then Candace Owens dropped another hint. "Round 2 drops next week," she tweeted, followed by a winking emoji. The message was clear. The story wasn't over, and if Erika thought she could hide behind sympathy, she was wrong, because Candace had just turned personal heartbreak into a public reckoning. Candace Owens thrives on confrontation, but this time she went to war with her own side. Within days of exposing the messages, high-profile conservatives called her out, accusing her of tearing down the movement. She fired back. "Don't lecture me about morality," she said on her podcast. "I didn't write those messages. I just refuse to pretend they don't exist." The clip exploded online. Millions watched as Candace accused powerful conservative men of protecting sin when it wears a suit and carries a Bible. She claimed she'd tried to warn JD privately, that she gave him a chance to confess before she went public. But he ignored her. "So I did what any woman of faith should do," she said. "I told the truth." The backlash was immediate. Turning Point USA insiders leaked memos suggesting Candace had a personal vendetta. Political commentators branded her a traitor. Yet behind closed doors, everyone feared her next reveal, because she hinted that Usha Vance herself had confirmed the leaks were real, and that even more messages were still unreleased. Suddenly, Candace wasn't just a commentator. She was the storm itself. The conservative machine that once cheered her now tried to silence her, but every attempt only made her louder. "You can't cancel conviction," she tweeted, and Washington held its breath, because the next move wouldn't come from Candace. Come from Usha. When the noise reached its peak, Usha Vance moved in silence. No interviews, no press releases, just quiet precision. Sources claim she'd shared the original screenshots not to ruin JD's career, but to end the deception. Yet when Candace's leak went viral, Usha decided to go further. She reportedly forwarded a folder of messages to a trusted journalist. Unfiltered, unedited, undeniable. These weren't just emotional exchanges anymore. Some showed JD calling Erika his safe place. Others described dreams, fears, and late-night prayers that blurred the line between compassion and confession. The journalist never published them in full, but confirmed their authenticity. And that was enough. The story shifted from rumor to reality. Usha's quiet vengeance captivated the public. She didn't rant or retaliate, she let truth do the damage. Pundits began calling her the Silent Storm. the woman who exposed a scandal without saying a word. For the first time, conservative women rallied behind her instead of the men leading the movement. She didn't just protect her marriage, one commentator wrote, she protected every woman told to stay quiet for the sake of appearances. By the time J.D. Vance reappeared for a press conference, the internet had already chosen sides. Erika was the deceiver, J.D. was the hypocrite, and Usha, the betrayed wife who chose faith over fury, became the moral anchor in a sea of chaos. Washington had seen scandals before, but never one that split its own ranks down the middle. By the end of the week, donors froze millions in campaign funds. Pastors withdrew endorsements, poll numbers tumbled. J.D. Vance's once iron image as the humble family man was now painted with guilt, regret, and unanswered questions. Behind the scenes, crisis meetings dragged past midnight. Advisors urged him to release a statement, but every draft sounded hollow. "We're praying for healing," one version read, until someone leaked it, sparking more outrage. Anonymous insiders whispered that J.D.'s wife had moved out temporarily, taking the kids to her parents' home in Virginia. The optics were disastrous. Erika, meanwhile, went dark. Her social media disappeared overnight. Some said she'd fled to Arizona for spiritual retreat. Others swore she was negotiating a tell-all interview. Every hour she stayed silent, the internet filled the gap with more theories. Affair, a cover-up, a secret pact. Candace Owens posted a single phrase that morning. "When truth burns, it purifies." It racked up 5 million views in one day. By the weekend, conservative circles were imploding. Turning Point USA scrubbed Erika's profile entirely. J.D. Vance's approval ratings hit an all-time low, and whispers began circulating that his political future, maybe even his marriage, was finished. The story had outgrown gossip. It had become a national reckoning. Candace Owens had promised one last revelation, and when she delivered, it was nothing short of explosive. On her Friday night live stream, she revealed audio recordings, brief but damning, of a conversation allegedly between J.D. and Erika. The sound quality was rough, but the emotion was unmistakable. J.D.'s voice, "I can't keep pretending we're just friends." Erika's whisper, "Then stop pretending." The clip spread like wildfire. News outlets replayed it on loop. Talk shows dissected every syllable. Even those who doubted the screenshots couldn't deny the tone. Raw, intimate, and too real to ignore. "That's not political strategy," one anchor said. "That's confession." Candace ended the live stream with a closing line that cut deeper than any headline. "If telling the truth makes me the villain, then so be it. But I'd rather be hated for honesty than praised for silence." Her face stayed calm, her voice steady, like someone who'd burned the bridge and felt no regret. For the first time, the conservative movement turned its gaze inward. The message was clear. Even the icons of morality were human, flawed, and breakable. And the woman who exposed them, the same Candace Owens they once feared for her words, had just proven that power means nothing without accountability. When the dust settled, there were no heroes left, only lessons. J.D. Vance retreated from public life, avoiding cameras and questions. Erika Kirk vanished into silence, her name now synonymous with forbidden affection. Candace Owens became both hated and respected, the woman who said what others wouldn't. And Usha Vance, though heartbroken, emerged as the quiet symbol of dignity. Reporters still argue over who leaked what, who lied first, who loved who. But deep down, the story stopped being about proof. It became about image, and how easily that image collapses when the truth finally slips through the cracks. Because for years, these people built their empire on faith and loyalty. Yet the moment those private messages surfaced, everything they stood for fell apart. The sermons, the speeches, the family portraits, all undone by a few sentences typed after midnight. And maybe that's why the story hit so hard. It reminded the world that no matter how polished the stage, behind every perfect couple are unspoken doubts, unanswered prayers, and hearts that wander. In the end, it wasn't the media that destroyed J.D. Vance's marriage. It wasn't even Candace Owens. It was the truth. The kind that hides in plain sight until someone dares to expose it. Because love, loyalty, and politics may share a stage, but they don't share a conscience. And when those worlds collide, someone always gets burned.
You know what they have to take a look at? They have to take a look at the dates of some of those intimate email exchanges.
Who did meet?
If this has been going on for quite a while, is it possible that they were involved in his murder? They needed to get rid of him. I mean, this is mind-blowing. I'll attach the link. Let me know what you think. I told you that the guy was a piece of crap. Was I wrong? I don't think so. Do you?